Hi folks, today we're going to be doing a lab where we're going to give you some everyday objects and ask you to find atoms and ions and grams and things of that nature. It is my deepest hopes that you will pause the video a lot, work the problems, that way you actually get as much learning out of this as you possibly can. So the very first thing that we're going to do is look at the problem, and hopefully you don't get motion sickness. But it says an empty salt shaker has a mass of 23 grams. Calculate how many chloride ions are in the sodium chloride shaker. So this is what we are talking about here, a salt shaker. And this empty salt shaker, so the plastic, the metal on the bottom, the label on top, that all comes to 23.00 grams. I place this on a balance, and I get a mass of 125.88 grams. So to get you started off, you would have to take that mass that we see on the balance right now and subtract out the 23.00 grams for the plastic and the metal and the tag on top to get the mass of just the salt. Now, salt is sodium chloride. So the question is, calculate how many chloride ions there are in a sodium chloride shaker. So it is my deepest hopes that you will spend some time and solve this problem. I'm guessing it's going to take you 3 or 4 minutes to be able to do that. If you need to rewind the video to get the data, and again, the data is 23.00 grams for the salt shaker itself, and the salt shaker with the salt inside is 125.88 grams. So pause the video, try to solve this problem. You should have all the skills that you need to be able to solve it. All right, so now we're going to come back. I'm going to give you the answer to this. So if we look right here, we're talking about how to solve it. So we have to do a little subtraction right here by my thumb to get the mass of the salt. The mass of the salt is used to start the problem. The molar mass of the sodium chloride right here is used in this step to get to moles of sodium chloride. In every 1 mole of sodium chloride, there's 1 mole of chloride ions. That's how we represent chloride ions. And in 1 mole of chloride ions, there's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd chloride ions, giving us a total number of 1.06 times 10 to the 24th chloride ions in that salt shaker. So that is the first problem that we are going to do. Now we'll get ready for the second problem. The second problem is, how many atoms of aluminum are there in this bar of aluminum? So again, how many atoms of aluminum are in this bar of aluminum? So the piece of data that I need here is I need to put this bar of aluminum on here, and here I get a mass of 491.02 grams. So 491.02 grams of aluminum, and it wants to know how many atoms of aluminum are in this bar of aluminum. So pause the video and solve this problem. So that probably took you a minute or two. This is how you'd go about solving it. Now my initial mass is a little different. So do realize that when I did this, I was probably using a different balance, and the initial mass was a little bit different. So this first number where my thumb is will be different than what you guys have. But all the other steps would be exactly as it is, except for the answer would now be slightly different than what we have right here. But most of the work is right here in the middle. This step right here is critical. This step right here is critical. Those should be the same on our sheet and your sheet. Just that initial one and that final one would be a little different from each other. All right, in this station, we are trying to find out about table sugar or sucrose in a can of soda. So it says sucrose or table sugar has a formula of C12H22O11. 1 can of Fanta has how many atoms of hydrogen from just the sugar? So we are going to need to look at the label of the Fanta. So if we look at this label and we zoom in really close, we can see that the total sugar in this can is 48 grams of sugar. 48, no zeros behind it, just 48. And that is the grams of sugar that we have here. So that's what you would start your problem with. So if we go from 48 grams of sugar, just 48, nothing else behind it, so 48 grams of sugar, how many hydrogen atoms would be in that can? I would expect that this is going to take you a good 3 or 4 minutes to solve this problem. Please pause the video and do so. So it's my deepest hopes that you actually went through the work to try to solve this problem. So here we would start with our 48 grams of sugar. The molar mass of sugar is right here. Hopefully we calculated that correct. And we go from grams to mole island. Then we go from mole island of sugar to mole island of hydrogen. And there's those 22 hydrogens in that. And then we go from mole island hydrogen to atoms of hydrogen. And we get our answer of 1.9 times 10 to the 24th, the correct sig figs, because we have 48 as our initial number, and that's 2 sig figs. The mole to mole ratio, that's infinite sig figs. So that is the whole problem. Again, I'll go slowly through it so you can check all your steps. And I apologize if I'm making any of you at home motion sickness. Well, folks, that concludes our lab. You will have a quiz on this material in the next few days.